Hi, I'm Stacy and welcome to the channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I recently watched the Netflix series Shadow and Bone and it was pretty interesting, so I thought why not do a video about it. These days I hardly binge watch stuff, and that's because I haven't found anything that is interesting enough to stick with for long uninterrupted periods of time, except for Season 2 of Shadow and Bone. I already liked Season 1, plus after meeting Alina, I just loved them from the beginning. I seriously shipped them and was low-key hoping that something would happen between them in Season 2. Needless to say, my curiosity was already piqued and Season 2 held my attention, to the point where I watched the entire series all at a go. I'm excited and we have a lot to unpack. First off, before diving into the second season, let me give a summary for anyone who may not be familiar with the series. Shadow and Bone is based off of books by the author Lee Bardugo. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but let's just hope I said it right. I haven't read the books yet, but I might out of sheer curiosity. Most of the time when a show based on a book comes out, I always find that I've already read the book, and in most cases I always find that I like the book more than I liked the show. But if I read the Shadow and Bone books, I'll be doing the reverse. So since I already like the show, I do wonder if the books will be a letdown, or they're just gonna be the same, or they're gonna be better. Shadow and Bone takes us into this world that is full of magic, adventure, epic fights, and basically anything you can think of that comes with a fantasy fiction world. Season 1 introduced us to the Grisha universe, a world that consists of many nations that are divided because of the Shadowfold. The Shadowfold is this wall of darkness that is home to dangerous creatures. It is basically the worst nightmare of the people in the Shadow and Bone world. We follow the protagonist Alina Starkov as her destiny intertwines with that of the antagonist, who is called the Darkling or General Kurgan. Alina is what you call a Grisha. In this world, Grisha are people with great magical abilities. Remember the Shadowfold? The huge wall of darkness full of dangerous monsters? Turns out there's only one Grisha in the whole Shadow and Bone universe that is powerful enough to destroy it. That Grisha is called the Sun Summoner, a person that can summon light but destroys darkness. This kind of person hasn't existed, and some think it's a whole myth. What do you know? It's discovered that Alina has the power to summon the light. So she has to leave her home and everyone she has ever known and go train with other Grisha that have different powers. This is all so she can become powerful enough to destroy the fold. Cue our antagonist, General Kurgan. He is the leader of Ravka's second army. Ravka is one of the nations in the Shadow and Bone world, and it is home to most Grisha. There are other nations that consist of people who are just humans, so they don't have any magical abilities. You would think that would make the Grisha powerful, and they are, but they are also hunted by other nations. That is because it is believed they are responsible for the fold and basically everything that is evil in their world. Once the one person that can destroy the fold is discovered, word spreads and many people want the Sun Summoner for various reasons, which are mostly selfish. That is where we meet the group that is loved by everyone, the Crows, a gang of skilled members that seem to be capable of just about anything. That's the summary, so let's jump right into Season 2. The second season starts with Alina and her friends on a dangerous journey to find an amplifier that is meant to strengthen her power so she has enough magic to destroy the fold. Before I continue, my summary may have given an inkling into what the story is about, but be warned, the rest of the video contains spoilers. There is one thing that has irked me so much in all of Season 1 and 2. This entire series communicates that Mal and Alina are meant to have this epic love story, but then we never see it. Honestly, I never saw it. Season 1, it took Alina about a minute to forget Mal and start liking the Darkling, although no one can blame her for that. In Season 2, I thought we would get to see that connection that the writers have been alluding to all of Season 1 and 2, But still, for me, I didn't see this epic love story. Maybe I am biased because I also wish that in season 2, the connection between the Darkling and Alina would have been explored a little bit more. Yes, they reached a point of no return at the end of season 1, but frankly, I saw a deeper connection there than I've ever seen with this ongoing love story of Alina and Mal. You will think in season 2, since General Kurgan is clearly the villain, and Alina wants nothing to do with him other than defeat him and the Fold, we will now see this deep connection between Mal and Alina. But no. Maybe there were moments here and there, but in general, it still didn't feel like this great love story that the writers keep going on about. Once Nikolai was in the picture, it doesn't take long for him to develop something with Alina, and Mal seems to be okay with it 99% of the time. There was that 1% where he wasn't okay with it, and I was like, okay, cool, maybe they're still building up the story. Then this happened and I was like, so much for this epic love story that you're meant to have. I like all the characters in this story, but in my opinion, even though he is the bad guy, I still ship Alina and the Darkling. I'm on Team Darklina all the way. Let's move on to the Crows. I loved the Crows in season 1, so it was exciting to see their story get more attention in season 2. Seeing the backstory of Kaz and the things he went through as a kid was something that was really well thought out, and I thought it did a really great job at explaining why the character is so caged in from the rest of the world. One thing that did annoy me again was the love story between Kaz and Inez. It's not even a love story, it's the possibility of a love story between Kaz and Inez. Season 1 teased us with the possibility of Kaz and Inez starting something. Season 2 did the same thing, but the entire season ended with nothing happening. At this point, if there's a season 3, they need to get on with it or move on from that storyline. Having the same storyline for 2 whole seasons is a bit boring, to be honest. In season 3, though I haven't read the books, I have a hunch that the story is gonna move from Inez and Kaz to Inez and, is his name Tyler? To Inez and Talia. Am I the only one who thinks that? I've been team Inez and Kaz, but honestly, just to have the story move on, I will be okay with Inez and Talia. Wylan and Jesper were another duo that just made me happy. I love Wylan's quirky personality. It's such a joy to watch. Season 2 explored some of the characters' past, so I think it would be fun to see Wylan's backstory, although I think he talked about it a bit. One thing about a show like this is that you're gonna get some great action scenes. And season 2 did not disappoint. In fact, from a visual perspective, the fighting scenes were just awesome. However, there's one little detail that could have been executed a little bit better. The Darkling. Before Alina, he was the most powerful Grisha, but how his story unfolded was a bit underwhelming. For him to be built up to be so powerful, to be almost immortal, then have him defeated in a matter of seconds was so anticlimactic to me. Episode 1 with him surviving the Fold built him up to be a character that can't easily be defeated. The fact that he created the Fold and he seemed to be the only one that can control shadow monsters, I thought this was gonna build up to some huge battle, but instead, after all that, it turns out that this man who has lived for centuries belongs to the family of the most powerful Grisha, created the Shadow Fold and can control shadow monsters, just came back to die. Truly, I think that final scene where they met face to face could have had a bit more to it. I'm still salty over that, but I've seen a couple of people speculate that the fly in the last episode was the Darkling, so maybe he'll be back in season 3. Speaking of the Sun Summoner, after all of her vocal efforts to claim that she would never turn into the Darkling, here she is following in his footsteps. The whole reason the Fold exists is because Kurgan tapped into dark magic, and Alina without hesitation did the same thing once her back was against the wall. Here's the thing that I can't stop thinking about. We see Alina using her powers in the last episode, and instead of light coming out, darkness does. Does this mean she's no longer a Sun Summoner, or has she turned into the Darkling? I seriously need answers for that. I just might read the book so that I can find out. After watching this show, I also found out that season 1 was based entirely on one book, while season 2 was a combination of I think 3 books. I've seen people who've read the books be of the opinion that the combination of multiple books in one season was overwhelming because there were too many stories being squeezed into one short time frame. But I actually liked season 2 even more than season 1. The pacing in season 2 felt much better. Actually, it felt well executed, and I thought the flow of the story was pretty even. See, that is why I was saying if you read a book first, then you watch the adaptation, most of the time the book feels better. But here is one thing that did not disappoint in any way. That is the world building in the show. We see so many new locations which are really well executed from a visual standpoint. I especially loved the portrayal of Nubism, which I think is another nation in the Shadow and Bone world. They captured their people and their world so distinctively and so beautifully from the other locations and nations that we had seen before. I think the visual portrayal of each nation is so unique and it's really done well. There was a lot that was unpacked in season 2, and overall I think it was a great season. When season 1 ended, the only thing that kept me interested in the show was the dynamic between Kurgan and Alina. From a battling point of view, I was wondering how will the Sun Summoner defeat the Darkling, but at the end of season 2, I think all of the storylines were developed in such an intriguing way that if there's a season 3, I am excited to see how each character's journey develops. And also, I am crossing my fingers that the Darkling isn't dead. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for watching this venting session of Shadow and Bone. If you haven't watched it and you enjoy these kinds of fantasy worlds with magic, kingdoms or nations, great fighting scenes, and everything in between, this would be a great recommendation to watch. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and leave me a comment below.